Hello everyone, I'm Steve and welcome to Green Side Up. Today I'm getting on with some more planting, surprise surprise, and today it's this lot that's going in. This is elephant garlic and that's a single clove. Now there's much been said about this over the years. I mean, some people grow it as a biennial. I think it's an annual myself, but this is what can happen if you don't get this planted and it doesn't get a frost through the winter. This can happen. It can go into a round. Still edible, still usable, just not as big as when it matures properly. If you get this, if you dig these up, save them, replant them, that will get a frost this year and that will split and become a proper elephant garlic bulb. Also, when you take a bulb apart, you'll get these come across, these little bulblies on the outside of the actual big elephant garlic bulb. You can plant these, and in the first year it will go to one of these. In the second year it might go to one of these, or it might grow into a full bulb. Personally, I don't bother with them. I have grown them in the past and it just seems like a lot of faff when I know I can plant one of them and I can have a big elephant garlic bulb. Right, there's a bit of a misnomer with the name. It's called garlic because it's got a hint of garlic to it when you eat it, but it's not actually a garlic. It's more related to onions and leeks, I believe, is more akin to. And I actually like it because it's a nice mellow taste, a nice well-rounded taste. Now I'm an ex-chef, and yeah, we all love that heat and burn and that flavour you get from the garlic, but sometimes you just want subtlety, and this is perfect for that. I mean, I used some of this last night in a little casserole, and it gives a lovely well-rounded background taste, and it's another layer of flavour. Now we all know about layers of flavour in food. This is a layer all on its own, so it just adds to the interest of that food that you're cooking. I love it. I think it's brilliant. I mean, you'll see some of the top chefs on the telly, they'll cook a whole bulb of it and then smash it up in the gravy. Nothing wrong with that, because it's brilliant and because it's mild. It's not incredibly pungent, but it's worthwhile growing and worthwhile using, and to have a change from the garlic. It's another flavour on your table. So there we go. That's what I'm getting on with first. We're going to go and plant these, and then there's a few other little planting jobs to do today. So we'll crack on with that now. Right, when it comes to planting these, I've just marked some holes to get a nice grid up. I want them near enough as deep as my trowel, so you're left with that on top. So it's nearly two bulbs, nearly twice the size of the bulb on top of the garlic. I want them quite deep because weather's turning cold now, and this soil, although it's warm now, will go cold in the next few weeks. But where these are, down at the bottom of this soil, they're insulated by the soil above, so they will continue growing and grow good roots. I mean, they should be out of the ground within, well, certainly before the end of the year anyway, but if they're not, I'm not going to be too worried, because I know they're coming, they're on their way, and I know they're making bulbs making roots underground. So that's as simple as it gets with planting this garlic. I mean, again, advice varies. I mean, I know some companies will recommend that you only put an inch of soil on top. You make that choice for yourself, you know. I do it this way, as I say, because I believe it insulates them and it allows the roots to carry on growing. But everyone's different. So there we go, that's as easy as it gets. And as quick as it is. Okay, I'm here in the little tunnel now, and this is the bit of area that I uncovered a couple of days ago when I was putting in this, when I was changing the use in here. And what I'm planting here now, spring cabbage. And you're thinking, God, those holes are close. Yeah, I want them close. I want the cabbages really close. because all I'm aiming for with these is small cabbages, because they will be coming out fairly quickly next year, so they won't have time to mature to proper size. So I'm just growing en masse for small cabbages in a small space. It's a supplemental crop. I've already got, as you know, tons of crops in anyway, so it's just an extra, that's all. The more plants you've got in the ground, the better you do. So and I just like to have plenty of options. I mean, these will go a long way to fulfilling that problem of the hungry gap in spring as well. So what I'll be doing with all the cabbages that I've got in is, as they come ready, if we can't eat them at that moment, I'll prepare them, chop them up and freeze them, and try to keep fresh stuff in the ground for all that hungry gap, but I'm not going to live my life by it. So I mean, that's quite ridiculous. There's about 15 cabbages in there where you would normally put 2, but that's alright, because I only want tiny heads or even a few leaves. That will do me. Be more than happy with that. So there we go, there's 35 spring cabbages in an area about 1 metre square. Now, I've never tried it with spring cabbages over winter. I've done it with summer cabbages very early part of the year, and that's worked incredibly well. So we'll see how this goes. Everything's a trial. Right, next up for planting today are some beetroots. I'll get these in, I think. Get these in down here. So these have been up on the shelf for a little while now. Multi-sown module beetroot. Can't remember when I sowed them, but I'm just going to whack these in here. There's a good little plants. Now, there's a bit of a thing with planting beetroot this time of year. There are 2 chances. They could grow very well, or they could be incredibly poor. And by that I mean, because the weather's going to play a major factor into these, how well they grow. They could bulb up before Christmas. They might not bulb up at all until next spring, or they might just even succumb to rot and die, or they might start bulbing up and mice will have them. But it's a crop, and for the sake of a bit of compost and a few seeds, and to have plants to grow, which is what I'm all about, you know. It's just, I'm all about having lots of plants to grow. The more the better. The more I have, the better I like it. So it's a chance whichever way you get it, but it is also a good way to plan for the hungry gap for next year as well. I mean, in all reality, with the weather that we have, they're not going to bulb up before Christmas unless we maintain very mild weather. So these will bulb up as we're heading into next spring, and they'll be a welcome crop when there's not much else coming out of the ground. Even with everything I've planted, there still won't be much coming out of the ground for a period at the start of next spring. Every year I plant and try to avoid that, but it happens. And having fresh veggies at that time of the year, absolutely fantastic. And next to the beetroot, I'm putting some spring onions in. Again, it's the same crack with these. They may mature before Christmas. If not, they're going to be going into a cold spell, which they'll stand and they'll produce next spring. Right, these are a Chinese cabbage and the variety is called Wong Bok. Now I sowed all those ages and ages ago now, and a wee while ago I potted some on and I planted them out. Now I've got some planted out in my no dig raised beds here on the outside of the allotment. I've got some in the little polytunnel and I've got some in the big polytunnel, and they're all doing marvellously well. At the time I potted on all of the viable plants out of that tray. This is the remainder of the seed that came late, so I'm just going to pot these up and they'll do a spare plant. So if any holes develop anywhere and I've got plant spare, I'll pop a spare plant in basically. So it's a good way of keeping all your soil busy all winter. Just have spare plants ready to go. I've got lettuces and all sorts of other stuff in there as well, but it's just to keep the variety going. Right, so these Wong Bok cabbage they're now potted on. It can go on the shelf as spares. So that's it. That's the majority of my sort of autumn planting done now, right at the start of October. So my October planting is done. I will have more planting to do on the next month, and it'd be mostly maintenance planting by that. So where a plant has died or where I've taken one out, something doesn't look too good, I'll whip it out and put a decent plant in its place. I want all soil covered really by the end of next month. So that's the aim for this next month now, is just to keep on top of everything and keep up with the weeding, because there's still weeds growing, and to keep plants going in the ground to keep the soil covered as much as possible. At the same token, I will be getting on with other project jobs. I need to crack on with getting these new no dig raised beds done outside, so that will be the focus from now on really, apart from those jobs I've already mentioned. So that's it for today. Look after yourselves everyone, please stay safe, and I'll see you in a couple of days. Ta-ra now.